It's me, Holly, and welcome to my channel. Today I'm doing a video that I have been wanting to do for quite a few months now. In the center here you see my Dauntless, who I've named Florence, and she's kind of setting the tone for this whole video. To quote the famous early 2000s character Strong Bad, we're gonna be making some hot 60s looking girls, or 70s-ish. So I got these metallic pants a while back and I put them on Florence, and I made the top to go underneath something else. Well, when I did it, I realized, whoa, wait a second. She looks amazing. It reminded me of the 70s sci-fi shows, late 60s sci-fi shows where the women were dressed in skin-tight clothing and it was very bright and metallic even, and she just had that whole vibe. Then I got on AliExpress, where I've already unboxed and showed you guys, these kind of pants come in multiple other colors. So then I had the idea, hey, I'm gonna make a whole row of hot 60s looking girls from old 60s and 70s sci-fi shows. And I don't have like specific characters, but I'm drawing from my own watching of these shows when I was a kid, like Rory Rogers and the Bionic Woman, and maybe even a little bit of the original Battlestar Galactica, and some of the other really cheesy sci-fi shows that the Sci-Fi Channel used to play at like middle of the day. I'd stay home from school sick and I'd be watching these super lame shows, and I loved them. And so their outfits will be inspired by those series. Maybe a little bit of Star Trek too, the early one, but the women in those usually wore the skirts and dresses, so I don't know that they really wore a lot of the spandex. But let me show you what I have, what I'm going to be doing, kind of my plan for each of the dolls. I'm going to give you kind of a good look at Florence first, and then we'll go from there. So as you can see, she's all in the silver, and she's wearing, for the top here is a human wrist, like it's a bracelet that goes on your hand. The part that goes on the finger though is actually here. It fit a little too low. I really liked how it's just the top half. And then her top is actually just fabric that I gathered strategically and tied in the back. I just felt like rather than sewing it, I love working with strips of fabric. That allows me more versatility in the future. Of course, the chain goes down, which I think is a really beautiful detail for this outfit. She has this moon bracelet that is usually Natea's, but I thought it looked good, especially since we're going for the cheesy 70s sci-fi vibe. And then I went ahead and went with the coordinating silver heels, which I've shown you in the past. I have more of these, and I was going to be trying to paint them to go with some of the other color schemes. So this is her look. But each doll, though they will have a color scheme of a similar look, I do want to have some variety in the style of tops. I'm going to just show you each of the color schemes and some of the components that I will be using for each, and then we will go from there. First, I'm going to show you the different pants. So there's the blue, which I'm going to be putting on Monday, and then the gold, which will be going on Astrid, which is Divergence, and then the pink I'm going to be putting on my Aquarius, who is Dimension, and then I thought I would do the black on Emerald, who is the Cruel to Be Kind in Tea. Some other components that I'm going to be experimenting with. As you can see on Aquarius here, I've mentioned in my Valentine's video that her top is actually made from a scrunchie, and I have a few scrunchies here I was contemplating working with. I mean, quite honestly, Dimension / Aquarius, I could just leave that top on and give her the pants, but then this looked really good. Of course, we have the blue on here, which would look really good with this, but I really was wanting to do kind of like, I don't want to say monochromatic, but each doll was going to be almost entirely that one color. So Emma, she donated this strip of blue that would go nicely with this for the most part. And I actually had purchased a whole bunch of this material, not realizing that she had a strip. All I really need is a strip, because that's what I'm doing for the tops. She also donated the silver material that Florence is wearing. For the gold, this gold, see, it's not a perfect gold, and that is a bit of a bummer. So I do like it to match fairly well, but we'll work with it. We'll come up with some interesting ideas. For the pink, this pink, so see, each doll's gonna have a slightly different look, but yeah, she's gonna have this cool shimmery pink. Oh, it's gonna look so cool. And then for the black, I had a few different black options. I had the shimmery black that matches in pattern to Aquarius's. And then I also have this velvet, and then these, I got these actually at Claire's on clearance. It's like a wrist, another one of those wrist things you put on your arm and they hang down like this. Anyway, it was like $1.50 because I had extra points and it was on clearance, so I got 2 of them. So I thought even this could be kind of a cool thing. Looks a bit more like chainmail though, so I'm not sure. I could make a top out of it. But let me show you another detail that I'm very excited to incorporate in these designs. So I have shown you these in a previous video. So I have these just amazing metallic square earrings. And really these earrings are kind of another place where I got this inspiration. Now, initially I had hoped they might be a top, like a diamond shaped top, but as you can see, it's a bit too small. I got ones to match. I could incorporate them on that. So I have pink, black, gold, and then I got the oil spill, but I have to say the oil spill, kind of a random color that you would get. And when I got them, I was hoping they'd lean more toward the green or the green blue, but you can see there's just more pink. So there's just kind of more of a pink. So if I were to put it with this blue, it just really shows, I guess it does show a little bit of the blue. I don't know. I'm gonna play around with it. So some of the girls might just have fabric. Some might have a scrunchy top. I have some great ideas. So I'm gonna go ahead and get busy on making these outfits, and I will share with you the finished product and maybe a little bit in between. We will see. So stay tuned. So I just really quickly wanted to show you how I was going to do the hair tie. I'm going to turn it into a shrug, and my plan is I find the seam where it's attached and I'm going to cut it, and then I'm going to pull out the elastic. So I pull it tight, get the scissors pretty much right here, and just cut. These are fabric scissors. All right. So then I get the elastic out, making it just a nice strip of fabric. So my goal in making it a shrug, I'm going to keep the 2 sides a tube, and then I'm going to undo with a seam ripper. I'm going to undo the seam here in the center. So it's going to cover a larger portion of the back while these are still maintaining a sleeve structure. Now I want to use the turquoise, so I'm probably going to do it more like this. We're going to see how that looks. So I'm going to go ahead and undo the seam, and then I'll show you guys how it looks when I'm done. And then of course you'll see the finished product on the doll too. Got all these girls dressed. You've already really seen Florence, but I did want to show you how I added this headpiece on her. This came with an Amazon outfit that I got a while back. It was just the right headpiece for her, and I also took her hair down because I just felt like she needed just something a little more. And I did a little more research, and Buck Rogers was really, these outfits are spot on for the Buck Rogers show. If any of you ever watched it, I loved it as a kid, and I know that's dating me, but some of the outfits that girl wore, I'm telling you, spot on. Definitely some of the shows I found were late 60s, early 70s, so it's kind of a blend. Then next we have Cruel to Be Kind in T, whom I've named Emerald. I wanted to first start with her shoes. I did paint the shoes, and as you saw in some of the footage, I painted them with a metallic gold and over the silver. So the paint I used was what's called a speed paint. It has a little bit of a transparent look to it, so it kept some of the shimmer. I did cover it with a glossy varnish to keep the shine and then I painted the soles black and I sealed them with a matte varnish so they would not be shiny. I think they turned out okay. Initially I wasn't very happy with them, but they look kind of like a hammered gold, a little more ancient, which look really great, especially on Astrid with her gold look. So I gave her a gold bracelet with the vibrant metallic blue pants. I used a strip of fabric to just tie around her back. Then I just stitched a little bit here to gather it to give it some shape. As you saw in some of the footage, I used a scrunchie that I cut it at the seam, and then I used a seam ripper to cut just the center seam out. So if you'll see here, it's just large fabric, which allows for it to look more like a coat. Then I tied off the threading. I know it's not like a super professional look, but the thread I had cut, I just tied off so it wouldn't unstitch. And I used the remainder of the closed scrunchie as the sleeves. And then I used these metal, they're for dreadlocks and micro braids for humans, of course. I mean, I have to use human stuff. And I just bent them around to look kind of like the gold wrist cuffs. It definitely has a bit of a Star Trek vibe to it in how the wrists are. I was kind of going for the puffy sleeves that are gathered at the wrist, which was also kind of a common 70s style. She has a necklace here and it just really worked for her. And quite possibly the coolest find of this whole outfit was this headpiece. Her hair's a little messy, sorry. You know, girl's been chasing aliens, so she has permission to look a little messy. But this headpiece is actually, you guys aren't gonna believe this. I was at Goodwill with Emma and I found these gigantic hoop earrings. So obviously I had to bend it out to fit, but it turns into this perfect headband. On Aquarius, she's not in this shoot right now, I guess I can get her. I turned it into a headband on her. Not a headband, more like a crown. Here is Aquarius. I kept her in her outfit because I just love it so much. I just couldn't find anything I liked better, but you can see how I turned it into more of a crown or tiara for her. Like she's some, I don't know, she has this Grecian vibe. When I first put her in this outfit, it was for Valentine's Day, so she was kind of like my Cupid. But I think she just looks amazing. I'm gonna go ahead and stick her in this lineup anyway, just because she's so cute. But I didn't make any changes to her outfit at all. Okay, so next in this lineup, we have Monday. She is all in pink. For her, we just did the metallic pants, and then I added the sparkly silver shoes because she got the sparkly pink fabric. And all I did for her fabric was I just wrapped it around her one side, spreading the fabric out, you know, to cover, and then I tied it up on the shoulder. So she's a little, you know, showing a little much. Well, but this kind of hides it, so you're not really sure. With this fabric, the edge of it wound up having it's not a very even cut, but this is like a no-sew. It just had the metallic pink without the sequins. So I cut that off and I turned it into her hair bow, giving her a high ponytail and this nice metallic fabric that matches, but it's slightly different without the sequins, so it adds a little more visual intrigue and variety to her outfit. And I added on this side, this is a ring, but this is a sun, and the other piece of this ring set is like a blue moon, but I gave her this silver because her accent metal is silver. She's wearing a double chain bracelet from AliExpress, and her waistlet, I guess, thing around her waist, is actually a human bracelet that I use frequently for necklaces. It has a tightening mechanism back here where you just pull it tight. So it's got a lot of fun variety to it. I could have given her more silver, I think, around her wrists and such, but I don't know. I think she looks really cute. I didn't want to overdo it. Lastly, and quite possibly my favorite, because I'm very partial to Astrid, the Divergence in Cocoa. And again, I'll show you her gold metallic pants with the kind of hammered gold shoes that I painted for her. I used the fabric, and I just used a long strip of fabric, and I kind of folded it in like this to hide the seams. And I started in the back, wrapped around her waist, and then I crisscrossed over the top to hide, you know, the important parts. And then I went around the back again and crisscrossed, and then tied it as a long, kind of a cape scarf on the top of her shoulder. to give it just kind of this nice flowing look, like kind of superhero look. For her waist, I have a bracelet here. I wasn't really sure I love this on her waist or not, but everyone else had a waist detail, so she had to have something. So this is a bracelet that I've had for years. It did lose a stone when I was doing this, but I found it. I have it, I just didn't glue it back in. So I just wrapped that around her waist. And this part is the part I'm just absolutely loving. So I was trying to figure out how to use those metallic kind of chainmail earrings. And I was trying all these different things, and Emma actually suggested putting it here. And wow, do I love it. It's just amazing on her. It looks like armor, like she's some kind of goddess of war. I don't know. I just love it so much. It's perfect on her. I don't think she could look more amazing. So her wrists, I used more of those gold dreadlock micro braid rings to give her jewelry. Really looks great. On her hair and her face, I used it's kind of a chain-like bracelet that I've also had for years, and I put that across her head. I actually used the gold rings as they're intended to go in the hair, and she just has this just really strong, feminine, but warrior vibe that I am digging. I do wish I had some cool 60s looking like weapons, phasers and laser guns. Well, this is my 60s, 70s sci-fi girls, whether they're princesses of another planet, or they're on a spaceship flying to unknown lands, or they're just eye candy. In really tight revealing clothing, all of the above. These are my smart doll sci-fi girls, my hot 60s looking girls, as Strong Bad would say. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, subscribe. Tell me which outfit is your favorite. And if you have a favorite sci-fi show that you could be inspired by to recreate some of the outfits, like, comment, subscribe, and we will catch you guys in the next video. Bye. Just a word of caution, as I was taking photos, I noticed a stain on her hand, which had been resting on her pants, and I've been checking all the fabrics, except I never thought to look at the pants. So far, the pink's the only one that has stained. I don't even know what her legs are gonna look like. That worries me so much. So I'll keep you guys posted what that's gonna look like. There's definitely a bit of staining on her bum and probably her legs. So she's gonna be changing out of this outfit post haste.